It should always be on hand, but it isn't. One moment. Today we're gonna do something a bit different. This is my final week in Ali Abdaal's part-time YouTuber Academy, and he asked us to do a community Q&A. As I don't have a large subscriber count on YouTube yet, I asked my fellow part-time YouTubers to give me some questions, and they provided a list for me, and I'm about to answer those, so let's dive in. Okay, so the first question we have was asked by both Hazel and Jeremy, and that is, how did you become involved with Signum University? Well, it all began with the Tolkien Professor podcast by Corey Olson. I was listening to that podcast in 2009, and it taught me that I could really do an academic deep dive into literature. Before then, I was an avid reader, but I just always thought an academic kind of examination of literature was nonsense. I thought it just tore apart literature instead of just really building up a deeper appreciation for the works that I love so much. But Corey taught me that no, that isn't true. You can do both at the same time. And so when the university opened in 2011, I was busy at the time, couldn't take a class the first semester, so I signed up though for the second semester in 2012. And you know, the rest is history. I earned my master's degree over the course of the next 7 to 8 years, doing it part-time on the side because it was mainly for a love of literature and just a hobby for me. And I started there as a work-study student early on, helping process recordings. Over time, my responsibilities grew until now I'm the dean of the digital campus there, where I help to run just kind of the digital component of the university and keep things running smoothly on that side of things. And I look forward to the future. The next question is from Oliver, and that is, what was the initial driving thought which got you into learning German? Well, as all great stories begin, it began with a girl. That is Yolanda, my now wife, then girlfriend. She's from the German-speaking part of Switzerland, and I decided, you know, I want to learn German. My actual goal is someday to learn Swiss German, but I guess I want to start with regular High German first. So since 2007, I've put in at least 1,500 hours studying German, mostly in the form of flashcards, but I haven't gotten anywhere. And that's because my biggest inhibition is just that I don't put myself out there. I don't actively engage in conversations in German with other people because I felt insecure about it. I didn't want to sound foolish, and when learning a new language, chances are you're going to sound a little foolish. I think I've recently overcome this, and I look forward to really doing a deep, intensive study of German this year and really fully engaging with other German speakers just to really build up that fluency as quickly as possible. And so yeah, I look forward to coming back, you know, and talking to you guys about a year from now and just, you know, maybe having a conversation with you in German. Michael asks, what's your favorite app or tool for productivity from a writer's perspective? Well, I work for Rescue Time, which is a company that provides an app as a service that tracks your time and helps you stay focused during work so you can get more intentional work done. And so I'd be remiss if I didn't mention them because I think we provide a great app, and it's a great tool if you want to get more done during the workday without getting too distracted. But honestly, the best tool that I can recommend for, you know, staying focused and getting a lot of writing done is very simple. It should always be on hand, but it isn't. One moment. You know, it's just pen and paper. I've found that I write the best and I am most focused and can get the most done if I write it with my hand on just pen and paper. While sitting from a keyboard, I can get a couple sentences out, but I get distracted or just my creative thoughts don't flow as easily as they do when I just have a pen and paper in my hand. So it's as simple as that. Next up, Juliana asks, what sparked your interest in Heidi since you based your master's on it? And she has a follow-up that I'll get to in a second. I love this story, and I'm going to definitely get to this in future videos, but it comes down to a simple thing. Actually, I had no interest in Heidi at the beginning. Matter of fact, I had never read it or seen any of the movies or the anime before starting my master's degree. Going into it, I knew I wanted to do something on anime, particularly the works of Hayao Miyazaki. And so over the course of just reading up about him, I stumbled upon a blog post that talked about his work on Heidi, Girl of the Alps, a Japanese anime series from the 1970s. And I'm like, huh, Miyazaki, Japan, Heidi. Since a little kid, I loved Japan. And over the past decade or so, I've come to love Switzerland so much. And so I thought, you know, this is awesome. I can dedicate 2 semesters of intense research on my thesis towards studying Heidi, Girl of the Alps, which would allow me to study more about Japan and Switzerland at the same time. So I'm like, yeah, definitely sign me up. And you know, it turned out to be a great experience. Her follow-up to that is, what other anime do you like and would recommend from a literary standpoint? Also, I'll probably be talking about a whole bunch of other animes in future videos from a literary perspective. There's so many. A couple of big ones I would recommend are Full Metal Alchemist, both the original and Brotherhood especially. There are so many literary references in there and just so much room for deep thought and critical analysis. Besides that, I'd recommend an American show, Avatar: The Last Airbender. I think that's great. It's really well put together, and once again, tons of room for analysis. Whole bunch more, but I hope those two will keep you satisfied for the moment. Tirso asks a question, similar to one I've answered already, and that is, what made you pursue your master's degree? Well, like I think I touched on earlier, basically it was just for fun. It was a hobby. I came from a math and computer science background, and I just wanted to do something completely different and to really improve upon and study the literature I had loved so much since childhood. And so I'd say, you know, Signum is so incredibly affordable, and they provide just the world's best educators, at least in my opinion, some of the world's best literary professors. I'm like, yeah, let's do this. Why not? I can do this in my free time. This will be my hobby for the next several years, and it was. Maddie asks, how do you find time to work on your favorite hobby whilst having a large family? At the same time, Miguel Nganga asks, did you say that you learned to forge a sword? What else did you learn in recent years that most people never think of? How do you accomplish all of that while enjoying a beautiful family? And Jeremy asks, how do you have time to achieve so much while having 5 children? And he's hoping to become a father this year. So all those are related. First, Miguel Nganga. I didn't forge a sword. I would like to eventually. I did forge a couple of knives. My ultimate goal there is to forge my own kitchen knives because I love to cook so much. But basically, how do I do this while having a large family? It's basically just setting priorities. The big thing for me though is just eliminating time sinks, okay? Like, I spend tons of time reading, but that's a hobby that I have said is worth me spending my time on. Other things like watching a lot of TV, movies, or playing video games, those are all things I spent countless hours on as a child. I've decided it's not worth it for me. I don't want to spend the time doing that unless it's something that's really important to me. So we don't watch much TV or movies, and I don't play any video games because I know I get sucked into them, and I'd rather spend my time on other hobbies or with the family instead. Cams and Oscar both ask about my hats. What's my favorite hat? I have a large hat collection. Pretty much anytime I travel, I like to pick up a hat. I've loved them since I was a little kid. You know, when I was younger, I remember always wearing a hat to school, and other kids would take it and just like steal it and try to hide it from me. All in good fun. Never felt off-put by that. It was always just, you know, kids playing, being kids, and just kind of running around chasing each other. So it was lots of fun. But anyway. And so what's my favorite hat? Well, this that I'm wearing right now is one of my favorites. I tend to start wearing this in fall and then all throughout winter. And then when springtime comes, which, you know, is here now, I usually switch over to this Panama hat. I picked this up in Oxford with a friend a couple of years ago, and I just love it. It's just kind of bright and summery. Just makes me feel good. And so when springtime comes, warm weather hits. It's 72 outside today, which is amazing because it's March in Western New York. And so the Panama hat comes out. A follow-up from Jeremy's question earlier. What's the biggest change you'd recommend in terms of using time? Biggest change. I think it's just be intentional. Make time for something. So handwriting. I want to improve my penmanship because I love pens and papers, I've talked about before, but my handwriting stinks and I want it to become better. And so I want to improve my penmanship. So all I have to do is just be intentional about that. Make sure I set aside time for that. So what I try to do is I try to set aside half an hour or so every day. Okay, maybe not every day, maybe 3 times a week. I schedule that in my calendar. I say, okay, from 12:30 to 1 o'clock, I'm gonna work on my penmanship on Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays. And I just stick to it and do it. So I figure that is the best way that I can actually get things done, is just set a goal, something I want to do, and then be intentional in it and set aside time to actually do it. Otherwise, I'll procrastinate and I won't end up doing it. So the last pair of questions comes from Luli, and the first of those is, why orange? I have a question for you, Luli. Why not orange? Okay, no, seriously though, orange is one of my favorite colors, purple being the other. So when designing this home office, I said to myself, okay, I like to get up early. I want to get into my office and just start being productive right away. So I'm usually tired in the morning. Let's go with orange. It's bright, it's cheerful, it's invigorating. I walk into the office every morning, no matter how tired I am, I turn on those lights, I'm like, boom, orange. So that's why orange. Okay, and the final question, also from Luli, is what is your favorite thing about writing? I have a love-hate relationship with writing. I love it. I'll get to that in a moment. But I hate it because I am a slow writer, especially that first draft. It takes forever. But what I love is it allows me to explore my thoughts, and more than any other thing that I do, it allows me to really understand my own thoughts better. In the process of writing that first draft, I'm able to take a whole bunch of thoughts that are in my mind and lay them out on the page in a logical order, and just pull out the connections and the insights that are back there in the brain, but I haven't really solidified yet. And so that's why I love writing. It really helps me to understand myself and my thoughts better. Thank you to all my fellow PTYAers who submitted those questions. This was a blast. I enjoyed having this conversation with you. That's kind of what this channel is all about, is putting myself out there and talking with other people who are just fun and engaging. And speaking of which, they're all fellow part-time YouTubers, so I think it would be great if you checked out their channels, subscribe to them. I'll provide full links to them down in the description below. Until then, talk to you later.